Hello, business owners, my fellow citizens. My name is Daryl Guberman. I'm the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We've been open for 11 years. This video today is about quality unhinged, the temper tantrum of Russ Chaney, chairman of ANSI, causes Jameson Carroll, lawyer, to lie to a quality professional. Once again, unbelievable. Business owners, let me just play you what Russ said back in July 26th, 2019.
This is Russ Chaney. Please leave a message and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Record your...
Yes, that was Russ Chaney saying that. You'll find a lot of the information down below this video. But what was disturbing is I didn't know when I applied for a position on the board as a board member or a director at large, I didn't realize that Russ Chaney, who left me that voicemail in 2019, was the chairman and also the nomination chairman as seen in the actual document that I submitted right over here. What happened is, in 2019, I was looking at ISO 17025 for laboratory accreditation, and I saw a whole mess of rejections. This is only some, there's a ton about laboratory rejections. To further exacerbate this, we took a look further, and this was a title of one of the articles. A majority of forensic scandals have occurred in accredited labs. We then came upon a deposition by a Pamela Sale. It interested me because she was ANSI ANAB, I guess she still is, the vice president of accreditation for laboratory. Under deposition, this is what she said, and we're going to go over here. One of the issues is that there is no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs around the country have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not. So that means you have quality out of control. There is no consistency within the realm of quality, not only in forensic labs, but look what happened in Wuhan, China, a virology lab, level 4, bio level 4, which has to have more stringent protocols. And it looks like what she's saying is it can be haphazard or ad hoc at a virology lab, or at a phlebotomy lab that's taking your blood test, or urine test, etc., any of your bodily fluids. She's basically saying the laboratory has no controls. They go from one to another laboratory. So if you were here in Connecticut, your protocols at one of the laboratories is totally different than out in California, and they still issue a quality certificate. There was a lawyer back in 2011, a Marvin Schechter, who basically put this together. And he said that, you can read it. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read what he said. It's a seal of approval. What I did is I discovered that ANSI had A2LA on their board. A2LA is an accreditation body that does laboratory accreditation. They sit right by ANSI, they sit by ANAB, they sit by ASCLD Lab, and you have many times, you have ANAB, as a matter of fact, that does accreditation. They're like a registrar. They go into a laboratory and they have an A2LA insignia on their certificate with their ANAB logo at the top. Underneath our video, because we did a video about that ANSI member A2LA forces government agencies and companies to use their accreditation. Why? Because sitting on ANSI is both federal agencies and corporations. That's number one. You have organizations like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, sitting right over by the FDA. Pfizer put pressure on the FDA to do the Emergency Authorization Act, and that's what they did. They pushed the Pfizer vaccine, or whatever you want to call it, out the door. One of the worst things is that we have a document down below, an article that said Pfizer skipped quality standards and processes to push this vaccine out the door. We have one on Johnson & Johnson that said because of contamination, 60 million vials. Quality issues. You have it in the aerospace industry where you have Boeing sitting on ANSI's board. They also, at one time, sat on ANAB's board. Not only just the board of directors, they sat on the board that can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. How do you like them apples? What happened to the 737 MAX? Well, I'll tell you what happened. In 2002, Boeing came out with a document to all its suppliers and said that you are doing great quality. If you're AS91 certified, we don't have to send in any more Boeing inspectors to look over your facilities. Maybe, sample, that's all. So they're taking a piece of paper starting in 2002 as a viable form of quality, flight safety parts. That's unbelievable. Flight safety parts, they take the AS9100 certificate, you're great, let's go. This way they save money. Cost-cutting initiatives, probably the CEO at the time, who was it, Mullenberg or whoever the heck it was at the time, probably got a bonus for that one because he saved a lot of money not sending in a cast of characters to go to these different facilities, special processes, etc. You have Boeing. Also, continue on. You also have, as I told you, Boeing sitting over by the FAA. The FAA in 2009 seceded inspection to Boeing, meaning that they basically designed, developed, flight worthiness, all the rest of it. That's what they did for the 737 MAX. You want to know quality problems? That's quality problems. You have the board members on Boeing. Many of them do not know, I'd say a lot of them do not know anything about aerospace. So people would say, well, Daryl, it gives you a better perspective as far as, you'd be able to think a little bit better on the operations of the company. That's not true. You should have somebody on that board that knows it. Even David Calhoun. I think the only thing he knows about aerospace is when he worked for GE, he put his hand on the aircraft engine and walked down the aisle. That's it. Who knows? So you have all these. Also on ANSI is the DOD, the FBI, the DOJ. You have these organizations, okay, these federal agencies that are all in bed together, and you have problems. So ANSI feels like they're Teflon. Now we go back here. When I exposed the factor about A2LA, and that A2LA also sat on the IF, the International Accreditation Form, which is incorporated in Delaware. And at the time, a Chinese communist national, Zhao Jinwu, who is mandated by his country, China, Communist China, to take your data through China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7, you'll find that all down below this video. He was not only the chairman of the IF, but he was also the chairman of the China National Accreditation Services, which certified the suspect lab in Wuhan, China, the laboratory certificate that Pamela Sales, the protocol is different from one lab to another. Do you want it to? No wonder why. Possibly the COVID virus escaped. So Ashley Morton, who was an employee of A2LA, said that A2LA does not sit on ANSI. They are both American accreditation bodies with equal standing. Well, I showed you this. A2LA does sit on ANSI, and they also sat on the IAF. I came out with another video, and I said, educating A2LA's Ashley Morton on ANSI's accreditation fake oversight. All of a sudden that evening, well, I will tell you this, business owners and my fellow citizens. That evening, Russ Chaney called me, and this is what he said.
This is Russ Chaney. Please leave a message, and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Record your...
I would say that's half nut fuck you. If anybody disagrees with it, please put it down by my video. If anybody knows that it is half nut fuck you, please also put that down in the comments below my video. As a matter of fact, we took a snapshot of our cell phone that evening. How did I get his voicemail? I called that number, and that's why you have. This is Russ Chaney. I sent a letter to Joe Bathia, and I've already told you about the FUPAs. That's why we have failure here. ANSI took over ANAB, the American National Accrediting Board, in 2018. There are two accreditation bodies bouncing back and forth from one another. ANSI will they accredit the British Retail Consortium. That is, Cargill has a certificate from that. And they had a recall of 135,000 pounds of beef back in 2000. I think it's 2019. 2000. Yes, it was 2019. I would gladly find it. If I made a mistake and you want to chastise me, I'll find that article. I do have it in one of my files. You also have them certifying SurfSafe, where I expose SurfSafe being part of the Better Business Bureau. They are not part of the Better Business Bureau, but they were rated F at one time. This past January, they were changed to an A. Right now, they're a C- for food safety. And actually, it's not really food safety. It's how how SurfSafe is reacting to customers trying to take their courses. So if you're having a C average, what type of course is it that they're giving? So anyway, I sent the letter to Joe Bathia. Joe Bathia in turn sent it to Jameson Carroll. Jameson Carroll is of Weiss and Carroll down in Atlanta, Georgia. And we sent him the audio file as well. And this is what he said about the...
This is Russ Chaney. Please leave a message and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Record your...
And this is what he said about that. Do you find anything obscure about this or peculiar? That after analysis, we were unable to identify any harassing or objectionable content in the brief audio file provided? And by the way, October 10th through 13th is International Standards Month or what have you, and it's being held in Washington, D.C. And you have these people who are covering up for a disgusting display of... I'd say it's not defamation. I'd say it's worse than that. And I will show this to you again. I put in my 54-page document. And by the way, if you want a copy of this, I'll gladly send it to you. And I have over 17 letters from my customers concerning, my attributes. And they sent that to ANSI. They sent it and then I encased it inside my book that I shipped to ANSI. But this is the thing. Russ Chaney is the nomination chairman. So when I got a letter back saying there was a refusal concerning you being on the ballot, now we know why. Because Russ Chaney, again, and I will play this again, people say, Daryl, why do you do this? Because I will tell you why. Because I believe that being on ANSI's board would be a step up for them. But right now, this guy broke every policy about, how he is supposed to portray himself to the public. And this is how he portrayed himself. And this guy condoned it.
Chaney, please leave a message and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Record your...
And so did this guy. So you have the major players. You have the CEO, Joe Bathia. You have Russ Chaney, who's the chairman, and also he is not only the chairman, but he's also the chairman of the nomination committee. Do you think he's going to choose me because I expose a fact about A2LA sitting on ANSI? And he out of the blue, I didn't even know him. And out of the blue, he calls me and leaves that vulgarity. That to me is disgusting. My telephone number is 203-556-1493. And I look forward to hearing from you. You can also reach me at Daryl, DARYL, TQRS, @yahoo.com. I thank you.